Today, on the Early Morning Show, how to stop complaining about everything and enjoy your life. Let's cue the rooster and get this show started.
Every time I need that shit, devil make another.
Hey man, if you got something that you believe in and you believe that you can do it and nobody else do, just go for it. It's your life.
My life is moving fast, I gotta slow it down. Yeah, now I got it, they all come around. But when I ain't have it, they nowhere to be found. Yeah, I had to stick with the ones who stay down. And now a lot of people say I changed on them, because I'm whipping in the range on them. I don't think I'm acting different, I just found out that these folks ain't in my interest. And you ain't got a lot of kick it. I messed around and pulled a whole foe up. Banging zero, I roll up. I don't do it, boy, you gotta grow up. My mom scared to believe me, I had to show her that.
Do you know of someone who complains all the damn time? Are you the one complaining all the damn time and wish you want to stop it? Is your complaining of being a worrywart turning you into a Karen and ruining the best years of your life? Now, for those of you who think of yourself as a bad person for bitching, moaning, and griping all the time, don't. Bitching and griping in the human species is a natural phenomenon of our birth cycle. Today's show not only reveals why you bitch and gripe, but how to rid yourself of it in order to have peace. A lot of people just want plain old simple peace in their life. They're tired of worrying all the time. They're tired of being bitches all the time. And we are born crying, and the adults that raise us try to meticulously smooth little minute things over in our path, trying to prevent us from crying every second of the day when we're babies. Most people who suffer a downturn in life just haven't experienced a negative moment since the day they were born. But if we don't learn how to deal with life outside of being pleased every second of the day, we will go into the grave, just like children, crying. It's not a bad thing. You just know where it comes from. Human crying does not stem from the economy being bad, the rent not being paid, or from having a flat tire, or a typical bad day. For if any of these were the true source of crying, babies would not be affected by any of these situations. That means that all of us, since infancy, cry just because we cry. Have you ever seen a 1-month-old baby cry because the stock market tanked? Ooh, I can't believe it, the stock market crashed. What do I do now? What about him crying because COVID stopped their Caribbean vacation from happening this year? So I encourage you to rethink what you complain about and back away from the edge and believing that life's issues cause you pain. Now, crying for adults, just like our baby selves, is simply because we are not being pleased in the moment. Remember, babies always cry about something in the moment, but it's not anything adult-like. So when we are not pleased compared to the general population outside, the appeasement quotient, we feel like losers. And God help us if we feel like a loser. We will motivate ourselves downhill. You can motivate yourself uphill or downhill. Now, I'm sure that many of you viewers are familiar with the cheerleaders like the sexy Dallas Cowboy cheerleader squad, right? It is those ladies' job to stand on the sidelines and motivate the team and the fans at the same time. But when you play on the losing side of your life, you too have a cheerleading squad. Within yourself, though, not outside of yourself. You have to imagine a squad of women dressed in black with black pom-poms screaming, "You're so stupid, you're so dumb, you could have been a bum." You see, but it's all negative. We go around beating ourselves up all day long. But actually, instead of motivating yourself to the negative side, we are our own motivation team going up or going down in life. It is us who say the words to our brains that we won't make it. We won't make it in life. Or I don't want to get out of bed this morning. I just don't feel like it. And some of us don't just do it for a couple of days, but for a couple of decades in life. But life itself is just a game, just like on a football field, and not something to be taken so seriously with the short time we have here. You get a very finite amount of time to live. You see, you are not even supposed to be here in life right now. Your birth was a miracle of defeating 500,000 sperm to swim the distance of a physical ocean without any arms or any legs to an Easter egg hunt in order to be born to that one egg. You will never experience a life race where there are 500,000 people in actuality against you for a prize called life anymore. That being the biggest test is behind you. The rest is just silly putty compared to that. Now, after birth, the life you thought so hard to be a part of seeks to erase you off the face of your planet with accidents every day, or just simply life. And if it fails, you will most certainly die of old age. So while you're here, you have to learn how to play the game. So the first part of not bitching and griping is I want you to start seeing life as a video game. Start playing the game. The analogy of a video game will put in more into perspective over the seriousness of what you currently place on it. Remember, you are not supposed to be here in life, which makes any time you got as a player, number one, very precious time indeed. So you're player one. So tomorrow when you run into dickheaded people, know that the harm they mean to you is part of that game you have to play. Just like in the video game, you have to avoid negative people and well-armed people that carry bigger weapons than you, right? In a video game, you go places that give you power and wealth, and not to the places that take your power and wealth from you, right? So why would you do the same, something different in real life? But if the way we run our current life now were a video game, we will be dead in the first stage. You wouldn't even make it to the second stage. So stop seeing life as a negative roller coaster from the alarm clock you set to get up in the morning to the alarm clock you set at night to wake up again the next morning. Catch yourself before you get out of bed by complaining about how you hate that damn alarm clock or how you just hate going to work. The alarm clock that you call irritating means that you are still alive, and the job you hate so much to go to means that you'll be eating one more week. Amazing. And like I said before, don't begin a day with the support of a negative cheerleading squad. You remember? The next time you go to a fast food or store location and the long lines are in front of you, you face these long lines, remember? Not to start griping, as this is a throwback to the infancy crying I told you about a minute ago, right? Remember, you were born crying, and if you don't get a grip, you will most certainly die crying. Not only that, but people who remember you after death will remember you as only a crybaby since birth, a complainer, an unsatisfied person to be around. And nobody wants that type of legacy. You don't, I don't. So a lot of people don't consider what kind of legacy. You don't have to be rich in life to leave behind a legacy. You have a lot of people now who hate their parents from something 40 years ago, their friends and sisters from something 30 years ago. Also understand that when you become your own negative worst cheerleader, you increase the bad chemicals in your blood, cortisol. Now, cortisol is a good adrenaline when you need it to rise to the occasion of a fight or flight mentality. But to get up in the morning, but not on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week, you need the positive chemicals in your blood of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and the endorphins that only show up when you're experiencing wellness or joy in your life. These positive chemicals actually eat up the excess negative chemicals, cortisol, in your blood. Now, in closing, you can tell how far you have fallen from where you want to be in life, not merely financially. Remember, babies don't care about finances, but who you are as a person. This is gauged by you asking yourself, when did I become either my father or my mother? Now, you promise yourself as a child that you would not either become this negative person or any type of negative person whatsoever. Now, don't go nowhere, because next up we have the man's bartender. It's time to get your drink on. Stick with us. We'll be right back. It's 5 o'clock on a planet somewhere, and we're about to get our drink on. Welcome to the man's bartender. Today on The Man's Bartender, we're making cranberry orange vodka. It's the season. Stick with us. What's up, guys? And welcome to The Man's Bartender. Today we're doing a drink that's a mixture of orange juice, cranberry juice, and vodka. You'll love it. If you're ever going to have a party, you learn these drinks and you invite your friends over. It looks like you've been doing it for a long time, right? And remember, mixed drinks are something to enjoy. They're not just made to get you drunk. You and your friends can sip them for hours. Okay, so what we need is 2 tall glasses. You fill them up about 75% of the way with ice, okay? Then you need some cranberry juice, you need some orange juice, and some Pinnacle vodka, okay? That's the combination. We're going to decorate it with a lime right on top. So what we need is we're going to start with the vodka. We're going to do let's do about 2 ounces. Some for you. Ditto. Alrighty, now we want to make sure we add the cranberry juice, and that's about 3 ounces. So that's almost up to the top. The ice will always make it look like it's more than what it actually is. It's looking good already, ain't it? With this even thing. Woo! Even Steven. And now the coup de grace. The orange right down the middle. Amazing, isn't it? Okay. Use a bartender spoon. Give it a little stir. Make sure the alcohol goes in there. We're not trying to mash potatoes, right? Okay, that should be enough. Same this one. You notice the color now as compared before? Take the lime on top. On top. As always, to you guys, thank you for watching the show. Thank you for making us grow, going towards 8,000 subscribers and beyond. But mainly to bring you information that you want, the news that you want, and stuff about guys. Here's to you. That shit is hot. You better try some of these drinks, man, because I got to. I'll be back. I hope to see you back next time on The Man's Bartender. Join me each week, and we're going to be making some great drinks, some crazy drinks, and stuff that you prepare for your friends at a party where it looks like you've been a bartender for a long time. Thank you for watching M&M. Today on The Man's Kitchen, we're doing classic meatloaf topped with ketchup. It's a good meal. Come on home. You won't want to miss it. Hey guys, welcome to The Man's Kitchen, and today we're going to do traditional meatloaf. Come join me. Now we're going to need some ingredients to start our meatloaf today. So we're going to use 1 pound of ground beef. We're going to use about a cup of dried breadcrumbs. You can grind those yourself. We're going to use 1/2 of a diced yellow onion. We're going to use 1/2 cup of milk. We're going to use 1 large egg, which I beat inside of that bowl right there. Now to that we're going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 3/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and about 1 teaspoon of parsley, and 2 tablespoons of ketchup. The main ingredient that you make this dish taste great with, you can't have meatloaf without ketchup. This is a dish that goes back to the Great Depression. If you can't make something good like steak, you could always make meatloaf. So some ketchup's going to go in the meatloaf, some ketchup's going to go on top of the meatloaf, and we'll get to that in a minute. Alright, so the first thing you want to do, you can take a bowl or a pan in this case, just something you can really mix it in. So after we get all that stuff mixed up, what we're going to do is we're going to put it in these loaf pans. So if it's too much for one loaf pan, I put in another one. These are not the traditional size loaf pans, but they're disposable. I thought I'd pick up some disposable ones because these actually come with lids on it, so when it's cooked. Now we're gonna go ahead and set the oven in advance to 350 degrees. To cook a meatloaf is gonna roughly take about 55 minutes. So if you got something to do, don't worry. It's gonna take about 55 minutes. All right, let's get at it. All right, so we got the meat, the ground beef. You need about a pound of ground beef. Okay, this is the best ground beef you can get. This is about 80-20 mixture. So put that in there. We can kind of mash it up a little bit, and you don't have to use gloves. For television's sake and the fact that I'm gonna be moving on after the segment, we're using gloves. Okay, so that we want to go ahead and add the breadcrumbs first. Now the breadcrumbs are a good thickener for this dish, and when you eat it in the ground beef, you won't even taste it. But you can't make ground beef without breadcrumbs. Now, like I said a minute ago, you can either buy these breadcrumbs pre-made at your grocery store, or you could just get about 4 or 5 pieces of bread, let them sit out for a while until they get dry. Take yourself one of those graters, or if you got a colander that you drain spaghetti in, just keep mashing it around and it'll thin itself out. I actually made these breadcrumbs before this segment, the same way. This is the way my mother did it. Don't buy it in a bag. You already got bread, right? Okay. So that's working there pretty good. So then we want to move along and put the onions in there. Okay, remember that's about a half a cup of onions. So we got a cup of those breadcrumbs, half a cup of those onions. If you don't like onions, don't put them in there. Traditional dish does call for onions. It makes it taste much better. That's up to you. Anything you see that I'm doing that you want to substitute, hey, there's the timer right there. It's 350 degrees. You can substitute. And like I said, since this dish was devised for the around the Great Depression time period, you can use it now during the COVID time period because we're back in the same depression. So a lot of these dishes, they're made pretty easy to make. So we go ahead and put the egg in there. Remember, that's 1 medium-sized egg. And that egg is a binding agent for the meat and the breadcrumbs. We could put the milk in at the same time because this is when you get your hand messy. And at the same time, we can go ahead and put the rest of that in there. We put the parsley in there. We can put the salt, the pepper, and the garlic powder in there. And for sure, we'll go ahead and put the ketchup in there. And I just run it with my hand. We run that right in there. Alright, so when you was a kid, if you like to play mush, this here is mush. Okay, so you can see there's an additional amount of milk there. That's what you need the breadcrumbs to absorb. Now you would be surprised if you would think that's too much milk, but it is not, because a meatloaf mixture, if it's too dry, it's not meatloaf. Okay? And that allows all those ingredients to go through there. So you want to keep on doing it until all that ingredients go through there. You're not trying to eat ground beef regular. Ground beef's a burger. So we're not trying to put ketchup on top of a burger. So you want it nice and runny. Look at that. You see that? You want it nice and runny. Nice and gooey. If you follow these measurements to the letter, you got it made. If it's too runny for you, just cut back on the milk. Alright, see, I can take my hand and do that. Now you can take that in one lump, right in that pan, and you want to form it like a loaf of bread. So get the rest of it out. Get the rest of it out. That's proper English. Or Latin for stupid. Alright, so go ahead and spread that. Now some people like to form a dome at the top, and some people like to form a ditch at the top. But that, my friend, is up to you. It's not a biggie. Want to make sure for sure that it is level. Now, due to that egg, some of that beef is going to rise. Now go ahead and take these gloves off. Because the last process we're going to do is we're going to add that brown sugar. Put that right in there. And put about, I'd say about a half a cup of ketchup in there. And that'll about do it. Take a spoon and stir those two around with each other. Now, in the traditional recipe for this meatloaf, you don't have to have the brown sugar, but the brown sugar forms a crust on the meatloaf. It preserves the moisture of the meatloaf, won't let it dry out. Just mix that in there real good, just like you did a meatloaf. 1001, 1002, 1003, quarter to 4, 10 minutes to 5, that ought to do it. Alright, take that, spread it on the top. Spread some more. Try to put it in the middle first. You put it in the middle, you could easily spread it out. Now, of course, you guys know through the magic of television, we're not going to sit here 55 minutes and have you watch that thing bake. But we're going to come back in about 55 minutes and let you know. Ground beef, or this particular one, which is meatloaf, people have mashed potatoes with it. Mashed potatoes and butter, mashed potatoes with chives, mashed potatoes with anything. It goes good. Both of those dishes were used heavily in the Great Depression. I didn't say recession, I said Great Depression. When people were found it hard to eat. And you couldn't get no regular steak, it would cost you money. But you get the lesser class steak ground up as ground beef. That's all ground beef is: steak mashed up through a machine. You take the percentage of the red meat, take a percentage of the fat, mash it up, that's ground beef. Okay, see how good that looks? You're gonna go ahead and put that in the oven. 55 minutes to the magic of television. We come back, slice it, dice it, get something to eat. Don't go nowhere, we'll be right back. Here we go. Be right back. Okay guys, we're back. And like I said, through the magic of television, meatloaf's done. Okay, so what we want to do at this point is nice and beautiful. See? I've already pre-sliced about 4 slices because I'm about to get busy. That's pretty warm still. You want to let it rest when you pull it out of the oven. About 15-20 minutes, that way it gets a chance to gel up. You don't have it loose and flopping out of there when you try to cut a piece and put it on the plate. Like I said, we got some mashed potatoes, some nice butter in the middle. Don't use margarine. Margarine's not real butter. Margarine's just vegetable oil with coloring and a mimic flavor. So remember the meatloaf, we took about a pound of ground beef. You're going to use chopped onions. That's a half cup. You're going to use bread, about a cup. That bread is bread crumbs. So you can go out and buy it at the store, or you can grate it yourself like I did. You're going to use parsley. We're going to use garlic salt or garlic powder. You use salt, pepper. You're going to use ketchup to make inside of the meat. And you're going to use some ketchup and some brown sugar on the outside of the meat. Now you notice that brown sugar, what it did to help caramelize the top of that meat. I wish you were here to taste it. I'm going to taste it for you. Now when you get this out, you can use 1 spatula, or you can try to use 2. So when you use 2 spatulas, you have one going in one way and one going another way. They're spooning each other, just like that. Spoon each other. And that helps you take it out without having it come to pieces, because it's pretty firm. But a lot of times in life, stuff does what it want to do, and we're prepared for that. But I tell you what I'm prepared for right now. Right now, I've got to get my eat on. I don't care where this stuff goes to. Alright, so there we have it. We've got the mashed potatoes. And you got the meatloaf. That meatloaf is looking good too. Nice and soft like it should be. not a hamburger with ketchup on it. This is good. You guys go out today. Make sure you get that for yourself. You can make anything. Guys been cooks for a long time. Don't wait for an old lady to do it for you. Do it for yourself. Stick around next segment. We're going to be talking about what? Assault on manhood. Then after that, you're going to get a preview. Killer Wives. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. I'm going to eat this first. Love you. Oh yeah. LeBron Wilson, a 26-year-old Florida mother, has been charged with first-degree murder in the death of her 6-year-old son, Avion Borner. Now, according to the charging documents, Wilson and her son were living at an Orlando hotel. Video from that hotel showed Miss Wilson dragging her infant son across the street to a nearby lake that Wednesday. A short time later, the video shows Miss Wilson returns alone to the hotel. What happened to her son? The surveillance video shows Wilson returning to the lake approximately half an hour later. She is then seen carrying the boy back to the hotel, wet and limp. So that means at that time he was already dead. She could have just left him where he was, because she was careless anyway. According to the Orlando Sentinel, witnesses from the hotel saw Wilson return to the lake, take off all her clothes, and begin to swim naked. She's going for the insanity plea. When he tried to get her to exit the lake, she allegedly refused and began repeating, "Oh God, forgive me." A witness reportedly called 911, while authorities who arrived on scene got Wilson out of the lake. Avion's grandmother, the grandmother of the little boy, got a manager at the hotel to open up the door to the hotel room. There they found Avion's body in the bathtub. He had foam around his mouth. The charging document stated, the grandmother, bless her heart, she performed CPR on Avion for several minutes. Deputies arrived shortly thereafter and took over until the paramedics could come in and take their place. But the boy was rushed to Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital, where he was unfortunately pronounced dead there. Now, according to the affidavit, a witness told cops that she had spoken to Wilson in the courtyard of the hotel complex just before the incident took place. So she talked to her before all this took place. She's seen the little boy with him. The witness said that everything seemed fine up until Wilson abruptly grabbed Avion by the arm and said that they needed to leave. And she said they left immediately, just went off. So authorities have not yet disclosed a motive in that case of a mother killing her boy. Like I say, in a lot of these cases, they kill their son or they kill their husbands. But authorities said they have ordered a psychiatric evaluation of Wilson on the affidavit. Now, she is being held without bond at the Orange County Jail and has not yet entered a plea. Online records do not reflect an attorney authorized to speak on her behalf. But in these cases of mothers killing their sons or husbands, I do not put it past them in establishing a supportive reason for killing these persons. They do. This is evident in the mother returning to the lake naked afterwards in order to win an insanity defense before she even had her day in court. And notice when she cried out to God, that means the same thing. Sure, these women don't think out the circumstances of killing a loved one, but they damn sure do think up elaborate alibis after the deed is done. Now, stick around, because as we give you next a preview of our weekly show, Killer Wives. No go. Here's your preview for Killer Wise. And now we bring you Killer Wise, Episode 11, Jealousy. These are the actual case facts of Marquita Sutton, who stabbed her husband to death. Isn't trust a bitch? Laurel, Maryland, famous for its location between Baltimore and Washington, D.C., the headquarters for the National Security Agency, and the murder of one Mr. Johnny Sutton III.
Negative K, nothing further, just see the cabbie on the corner.
Neighbors in the Frostwood Drive community would tell you that from the outside, Johnny and Marquita Sutton appeared to be that happy family. As in most of these cases, from the outside, they do.
I care less about what you think of me and more about what I think of me. Abundance coming easily, I'm tapped into that frequency. What you think of me ain't none of my business. What you think of me ain't none of my. What I spark don't get you lit, so why you give a shit? Talking out your ass, we revoke your membership. Falling off the cliff, hope you niggas get a grip. It's enough to go around if you tune into the sounds. Tapped into the universal laws to get it all. You already have it in you, but you hold it and you stall. We ain't gotta die to see heaven, we can live it. If you want something, gotta be willing to give it. Not for the return, purely for the feeling. Take some time to get a line of structures that we building. Expansion we increase cause we have to. Thank God every day and your mama cause she had you. She really didn't have to.